I'm back. Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Warframe Digest. I'm back after such a long time. What happened? Life. Because life is like that. So, let's get into it. This is going to be a new style of the Warframe Digest that is going to make things a little bit more easier to do and just looks a little bit more interesting. I don't know, you guys tell me in the comments down below, how do you think this actually looks? And we'll go from here. This is also being dubbed Season 2 of the Warframe Digest. Because why not start a new season when you're reviving something? So, let's jump right into it. So, we're back. Post-TennoCon. My microphone's working again. Yay, thank you, Rode, for servicing my microphone. And we have a couple of interesting things on the first official Devstream of the post-TennoCon world. And so far, they just showed off a bunch of assets, some very interesting assets. They showed off the handsome Grenier from the CG trailer, because a lot of these developers are now putting things onto their portfolios publicly and officially, because all of it is out in the world officially for the eye of everyone to behold. But we also have some interesting new insight. We did see Hero Deluxe over at TennoCon, and this is Hero Deluxe now, and his weapon that follows as well. And they did loosely say that this is Harrow without a corporeal form. With this new design, he has sacrificed his material form for an ethereal essence that is now manifested in this deluxe skin to just signify his ascension in power, as he lost his material form to gain that much more power and destruction and devastation. But yes, I digress. And what else did they show off? They also showed off Zephyr Deluxe. So Zephyr Deluxe is now being redone. Yes. What happened to Zephyr Deluxe? Why are we getting this version of Zephyr Deluxe? What happened to the old version of Zephyr Deluxe? The last 7 versions or something. That file got corrupted and they lost it many, many years ago. And the developer behind it got very disheartened, so I don't blame him. And just kind of putting it down and coming back later. Look at me. Yay! And we also did get to see the next deluxe as well, Wukong Deluxe. This is Wukong. This is our monkey boy. Apparently there were parts of them missing on this stream. Oops, Rebecca messed up. And also he has a tail. He has a tail! And it looks very interesting for all those Wukong players out there, especially with Wukong's most recent rework. So this is a lovely welcome and addition to our monkey boy. They also did loosely talk about Plains of Deriri, and they did loosely just say that this is a Dax soldier. It is a form of a Dax, so it is just a creature that looks like a Dax at this point. So this creature has multiple assets. Apparently we'll be seeing some variations of it throughout the world or throughout the plains. And he also has this deformed Nekana, this different styled Dekana for the Deviri katana. That's what I'm dubbing it now, or the Deviri Nekana, because it's not a katana, it's a Nikana. And they also showed off the Deviri horse. And they did say, yes, it is a horse. It is a form of a horse. And they did show off a bunch of assets and a 360 panorama view of it, and this looks very interesting. And they also showed off the flying snake monster! The flying snake fish! The thing. The Tuberfist, or Tuberfisted, I don't know, like, it looks strange, and they didn't get too much into it, because there wasn't enough time at TennoCon, and there wasn't enough time in the Devstream, because they have multiple things to do. And they did loosely talk about the operator. So, remember this guy? Yeah, this guy. They did say that this is an older version of the operator. So it is officially hard confirmation that it is the operator in the future, or a look into the operator's future. And this will be reflectant on how your operator looks when they're young. they also did address the fact that a lot of people did say, oh my god, this is Hayden Tenno. For people wondering who Hayden Tenno is, he is the main protagonist from a game that DE has previously done in the past, which was Dark Sector. The protagonist looks like this. Hey, look, that all looks familiar. Yes, that's the Proto-Glaive, and that's the Proto-Excalibur Proto-Skin. Because guess what? Those skins, those Protos, are a callback to a previous game they made in the past. And people thinking that they look like Hayden Tenno, well, here's a side-by-side. They don't look anything alike. Even I was someone that said, Hayden! But you can't really blame us. A lot of people did interpret this operator as a future rendition or a newer version of Hayden Tenno, now canonically in the game or in the world, because they did kind of have this very strange, mysterious reveal, and it did have some crossed wires. And here's a little bit of Jeff saying why they all kind of had that feeling and they just kind of stuck with it.
And we decided to go with a male operator because we thought, okay, just to get ambiguity out of the way, we can show the older state with some facial hair, just so, you know, in that short screen time, people will get it. And then as we were building it, we wanted to show that life is hard out in the void. So the older operators, like Zeraman suit's kind of torn up, he's dirty. We gave him kind of like the messed up hair, where he had kind of like styled hair as a kid. And and like a week, like as the hair came in, like a week out, we're like, I'm like, oh my god, we made Hayden Tenno. And then other people around the studio started saying it, and then we saw people kind of latch onto that when we revealed it. It is not Hayden Tenno. It is not. Or is it?
Oh no! And now the Jupe paradox.
Oh no!
Cute logo. Or is it?
No!
And on the note of if this is our operator older, what's going to happen to our cosmetics? Well, nothing really. Cosmetics will not have a rebuy, so all the cosmetics that we have as our young operators will translate to our older operators to a certain degree. Nothing official yet, but we won't have to rebuy our cosmetics to re-equip them onto our older version. And there will be some things that we do on our younger thing that just will accelerate automatically onto the older. So it won't be configurable manually on both styles, but it will be something that you can see a transition in time between your young and your old automatically. So an auto up conversion. And talking about auto conversions, who's getting converted significantly next? And by that I mean reworked. Valbon. They did just very loosely touch on the subject of Valbon. He's work in progress. Moving on. And they also talked about Melee 3.0. They are talking about some rebalances that are intended for Melee 3 in the long term, weapon and mod rebalances. It's currently in the works. It is a very daunting thing because it is so broad, it is so wide. There's so many weapons and mods and mod configurations and mod balancing and mod systems, because we also have channeling, we have blocking, we have power attack, we have normal attack, we have spin attack, we have wall attack. So you can see that it gets pretty gnarly out there. And all of this is in the works, so we'll see how that comes along down the line. And something that's no longer in the works, we have Volt. Wait, what's so special about Volt? Well, we have Volt doing this. He has his cape physics! Yes, those cape physics have been in the ether of development for many years, and we're finally seeing it out in the wild. Yay. Too little too late. We're getting Volt physics when we're getting a Warframe that's gonna overshadow Volt! And we also are going to get very interesting new little UI elements. This new little UI element right here is the new Captura button. It's more upfront, in our face, easier to see, because a lot of people, even on my Discord, did not know that Captura was a thing. So, yay on that. Along with that, we're also getting a new linking system in chat. We're going our cosmetic looks being linked in chat, which is called Look Link. Very weird naming system you have there, DE, but then again, this isn't the first time. And this will allow you to kind of link your fashion frame into chat and share it with other people, and people can actually apply those configuration and settings onto their Warframe immediately, so people can copy your style and not have to go do it color by color and item by item and position by position. So it's an automatic copy paste for your looks. And they also are adding Mod Link, which is the exact same thing as Look Link but for mods. So you can share your weapon builds with other people and it will copy paste your weapon builds for other people. Yay! And that's actually very interesting because we do have a lot of people that ask about weapon builds and all that, and they want to have specific builds I have, and you can just kind of just throw that out there and they can just boop, pull it right up. And also we have the loadout UI being finally updated to match the rest of the game. I feel very iffy about this, but it was one of the only other systems that has been very outdated that needs to be brought up to standards. They also loosely touched on the Shaozin being played and audible, so there's that. And they also showed off Goss gameplay. So let's start with Goss. As you can see, as he's running around casting powers, let me just read off the list. The passive ability for Goss will be a shield generation ability. As he's running around, he'll build up kinetic energy that will accumulate and will provide additional shields as he runs around. And not just that, will also increase his shield recharge rate. So as he runs around, his shields slowly come back, and it will also accelerate at how fast the interval is between damage and shield recovery. So move and move and move, more shields, more shields, more shields. And talking about move and move, because this is the speed frame, his first ability is called Mach Accelerate, or Mach Rush actually. And Mach Rush is an ability that will have a quick cast ability and a hold down or a continuous cast ability. So if you press his first ability, he'll just do these quick bursts of speeds where he goes zoom, zoom, zoom. And if you hold it, you end up getting this. Music not included. And it looks very interesting. This will actually speed up and accelerate a lot of parts of the game. But as you hold the ability, your energy will drain. Right now, we're not seeing that because they are in dev mode, so they are cheating. But the rate of which it will drain will be based on your builds, obviously. And we also have his second ability, which is Kinetic Plating. Kinetic Plating will actually absorb and nullify damage for kinetic damage, cold damage, and heat damage. In doing so, it'll drain this new UI element right over here, which is his gauge. As he absorbs damage through kinetic plating, the gauge will deplete, and as it depletes, it will provide energy for Goss as well. So this will be Goss's way of generating his own energy pool for his first ability. And alongside that, we also have his third ability, which right now is a Kinetic Blast. This Kinetic Blast can be done in cold and heat, which will do an AoE ring of cold and an AoE ring of heat. You can actually stack these things over each other. So if you end up doing cold, then heat, it'll end up creating blast, and the enemies will be knocked down. And if you stack cold on cold, it'll snap freeze them. And if you do fire on fire, heat and heat, you'll end up creating a very strong dot, a damage over time tick, that will just obliterate and incinerate the enemies. And then we have his fourth ability, Redline. Why is it called Redline? Remember that gauge? Yeah, this caps out here for a reason. So when you go into Redline, you can actually exceed that bar to the very top of the gauge, and that is redlining. When you obtain Redline, you get a movement speed buff, a damage buff, a attack speeds buff, a fire rate buff, a reload speed buff, pretty much a general overall buff, and also looks like this. Yes, he did deploy. You are not seeing it incorrectly. Just like Nidus, he will actually have the ability to model update over time when his abilities are in use. So when he redlines, he deploys, he opens up, he flares, he goes into overdrive. And this will be a very interesting thing to see because it is a flat out boost for this Warframe, and it is something that will build up. And when you max out the redline, when it depletes, you'll still keep your gauge at maximum, but if you do not max out the redline, you actually deplete the entirety of your gauge, having to require you to rebuild your gauge from the ground up again. But that pretty much does it for Goss, and he seems very interesting. He looks like a lot of fun and very interesting to just mess around with, and that's a frame that I'm actually looking forward to just mess around and just go zoomy, zoomy, zoomy! And yeah, let's move on to the next segment. So, we also have Kuva Liches being talked about, but not really. The Liches will be introduced in waves, and the first wave we're going to get is Grineer. They are intending to include the other factions into this, and we did see the Kuva Liches with Railjack, so let's get into Railjack real quickly. They did say that they will be intending to release the dry docks early for people to pre-build the dry docks ahead of time for their clans or for their solo clans, or to design some space around in their JoJo somewhere so they can actually put the dry dock. When you spawn the dry dock, when you're at the dry dock and you're spawning the Railjack, you will be spawning it client side. So 100 people or 1,000 people can actually all be using it at the exact same time, but your Railjack will be unique to you and will be spawned on your client. It is not going to be global, and that is done for optimization and simplicity's sake. They did also talk about Railjack's NPCs being something you can do that will affect different parts, aspects, features of your Railjack depending on what people you put in there, whether it's the Ostrons from Cetus, whether it's the whether it's the Solaris U people from Fortuna, whether it's people from the relays, from different factions, or from just different enemy factions, some Grenier people from Steel Meridian, or some Corpus from Parent Sequence. They did also address the little dagger thing that they showed off to assassinate the Kuvalich. This will be the brand new multi-tool that will be introduced into every single Warframe. It is going to be pre-built, and this is a multi-tool, so it will be used for assassinations and pretty much execution and finishers, and also it is the new hacking tool. So they will be updating all the hacking terminals, so when you go and hack, you end up pulling at the blade and injecting it into the terminal somewhere as a cipher to actually commence the hacking minigame. They also did say that Arcwing will be universally rebalanced across the board for Railjack. One of the developers did say, expect violent changes, and by that you also are seeing the universal blink. So since blink will be added to all of the Arcwings, how will it be initiated? When you do a forward dodge in Arcwing, you'll blink forward, and if you do a sideways dodge, you'll end up still doing the little barrel rolls, or whatever Matt Pat said on that one video, the correct term. And you can still just kind of dodge left or right or backwards, but if you do it forward, you'll end up blinking. And because of blink being universally accepted on the Arcwings, what's going to happen with Itzel? Its first ability will be changed with the equivalent of Ripline, Valkyr's first ability, but in Arcwing. So basically, the grappling hook, you can just fire at enemies and say, "Come over here!" and just destroy them and obliterate them, and maybe move around a little faster, aside from blink. So I don't know exactly what this is. They didn't show it off. They just kind of lightly touched on it. And when it comes to release dates, they don't really say or promise much, but they did say that Grendel and Goss, ideally right now, are intended, maybe, because they're super best friends, amigos, to be released simultaneously together. We'll see how that goes, depending on the development cycle the team have. And also, there's a giant, big, fat, maybe, no promises, hopefully, very skeptical. They intend to release Railjack, or at least a part of it, and start giving us things to do with it, possibly in fall. There is no promise on that, and I wouldn't kind of hold my breath to that. And they also did confirm, though, that Railjack is not directed for new players, so new players that start up the game when Railjack releases will not be able to immediately start Railjack by themselves, but they could be piggybacked by clanmates, by friends that are further into the game to unlock all these systems and rewards to they already start the progression towards Railjack when they finally obtain their own ship, to actually do it all on their own in their own solo clan, or if they've joined a clan and they've obtained all the other materials to do so. So new players will not be able to miss out on Railjack, but they will not be able to do it by themselves, but they can still participate, but they need to be invited. And I'm just kind of going back in an infinite little loop here. So that pretty much does it for the Devstream. I don't know, you guys tell me, what are you looking forward to the most? Are you excited for Goss? Are you excited for Railjack? Are you excited for some of these deluxe skins? I know some people are going to say something about Zephyr. And are you excited that I'm back? So leave that in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good things. Ring that bell, because apparently everyone's doing that now. So I'm going to be a YouTuber and say, ring that bell. Join the notification squad now. And we'll see how things go on moving forward. So, yeah, take it easy, have fun, and see you guys in game. Ciao.